Been about 4 months, 4 full months since Ubisoft has released its most recent flop, and they are still coping about this. This is absolutely wild, man. Ubisoft CEO blames organized campaigns of criticism against its games. Players are very sensitive to the quality and content of games. Gee, it's almost like if you were listening to those same gamers that you were listening to right now, you could have avoided the disaster that was Assassin's Creed Shadows. I mean, it wouldn't have made the game any better. It wouldn't have, fixed any of the inherent gameplay deficiencies. It wouldn't have really improved the overall story, but yeah, you probably would have had a few less upset people if you wouldn't have overly elevated a historical novelty to such a prolific position. But hey man, what do I know? I don't have to be bailed out by Chinese investors, and I don't need to put my son in charge of that subsidiary. I can just go ahead and blame everybody else, I suppose. Ubisoft has been the center of criticism and controversy for, a few years now. Shout out. It's so nice, right, to read one of these, shout out Tech for Gamers, right? I've used them a couple of different times, but it's so nice to go to one of these other types of sites where they're just accurate. Okay, because I was very, very convinced and have been well conditioned that I would need to go ahead and edit that on the fly, because normally they would just say, okay, if it was another access outlet like an IGN, a GameSpot, or just any one of those places, right? But Ubisoft has been at the center of criticism as of late by some toxic gamers. That would end up being, the line, but at least they're accurate on this one. Not just saying, criticism or rather Ubisoft is at the center of criticism and controversy. Like, they don't just say recently, they go for a few years now. So shout out to them for at least writing the objective truth. Okay, that's where we're at, man. Praise people when they do good work, mainly because it no longer caters to its audience. True enough. Okay, the company has been focusing on things that it shouldn't have, as evidenced, yes, by its current state. Adding Yasuke to Assassin's Creed Shadows attracted a lot of hate from the fandom, but the company was firm in its decision to add him. And you can see how it went for Ubisoft. The shareholders bashed the company for adding Yasuke to the game. The hate isn't limited to Assassin's Creed Shadows, as almost every single game the company has released for the past few years has been below average. Every single one of them. X-Defiant shut down in less than a year. Skull and Bones, a horrific quadruple A experience, dying upon release. The most recent Prince of Persia game, what is it, The Lost Crown or something like that, that even for like the 6 people that played it thought that it was a pretty decent game in and of itself, its studio got shut down. And there's another game that we will be talking about towards the end of this video that, also not just below average, abhorrently performed and was an abysmal failure. But in a recent investor presentation, the CEO of Ubisoft revealed that the hatred for the company and its products apparently comes from an organized group of people with eyeballs and taste. Okay, Ubisoft is exposed to risk of damages to its reputation resulting from online bashing, understood as a massive, sometimes a virulent and organized campaigns of criticism against its products, teams, or public statements. Company fails to admit its mistakes and continues to blame other people for the hate that it receives. And well, how well is that working out for you? Well, you're also blaming, apparently, Ubisoft's out-of-touch shareholders think Valorant will steal sales. What? Valorant, a game that has been running for years at this point in time, backed by Riot, has its own thriving ecosystem, and you're worried about them taking players from what exactly? Like, this makes no sense. As at a recent Ubisoft shareholder meeting, Yves Guillemot and Frédéric Douget, CEO and CFO, fielded questions from the less than impressed audience. If nothing else, the session was a glaring indictment of how much the shareholders know about the company they've invested in. At one point, a 20-year individual shareholder slammed the company's leadership and stressed his disappointment at the catastrophic share price. Well, yeah, exactly. That's factual. After that, he demanded to know what Ubisoft is doing about Valorant. A game that a lot of people have been talking about. That could steal sales from Ubisoft. What? During the question and answer segment of the recent general shareholder meeting, an investment group stood up. An investor stood up and unleashed an almighty fury upon Guillemot and Douget. I'm unhappy with the catastrophic share price, down 40% over 10 years. I'm very disappointed with everything we've been seeing of late. I've got real concerns. I don't recognize Ubisoft that I once knew in the past. How is it doing? Okay, how is it that the head of HR saw nothing? We operate in these buildings, so how did they not? How is it that they didn't stop it? Talking about that lawsuit, that's what you care about? That's what you think is driving to the driving the lowered share price. Holy shit. Maybe these are the people that Guillemot is listening to when it comes to a organized hate campaign. These fucking retards. How is this a nothing was seen and nothing was done? How can we tackle increasing prices? The fact that we have gamers that are becoming more demanding. Why can't they just eat the slop anymore? Why are they playing games like the Valorant? Why are people on the PUBG? What do you guys get? When can we expect Assassin's Creed Lego? About competition, there's a game that a lot of people have been talking about, Valorant. A lot of people said good things about, yo, what is this, Trump standing up? A lot of people have been talking about Valorant. A lot of people say a lot of good things about the Valorant, and it's a good game. That's what I've told, that's what people tell me. It's very good. It's got the guns. It goes pew pew. It's got a lot of bullets, a lot of guns, a lot of players. What are you doing about it? What could Ubisoft learn from that? Really, what's your opinion on this game, bro? It's like we tried X Defiant, which is a little bit more closer to your Overwatch, to your Valorant side of life, as opposed to your Rainbow Six Siege, and it failed tremendously. So what did we learn? Not a whole lot. To stop listening to fucking retards like you who think that Assassin's Creed Shadows budget, confirmed to be over 100 million euros. We don't disclose production costs. It did cost over 100 million euros. We'll say that. We don't give any final cost. We also invested heavily in the engine. So this thing, because there were reports that this thing cost anywhere between 100 to 200 million dollars, or 100 to 200 million euros. I would imagine it's a lot closer to that 200 million, but we're never going to get final cost because Ubisoft doesn't have to answer to you or me. They could just answer to their under or misinformed shareholders, because that's all that matters at the end of the day, as long as the shareholders are happy, because according to Ubisoft, they say that monetization makes the player experience more fun. Man, they're cooked. And you know what, honestly, couldn't happen to a better company. During a recently published 400-page universal registration document, an annual financial report that covers everything you could have ever hoped to learn about the company, one tidbit that's being taken away from the reckless abandon is a mention that the company's monetization model and the impact it has on the player. You'll laugh when you hear Ubisoft thinks about games and microtransactions. The supersized Ubisoft report covers every facet of the company's performance and development between 24 and 25. It's available for anyone with a keen eye for facts and figures to leaf through, and that's if that's your kind of thing. One of the most glaring notes that crops up from the 10th page of the document pertains to Ubisoft's group, a business model, and strategy. The page opens with a note that Ubisoft is a leader in video game industry. Well, it was at one point in time. That stands out thanks to its unique production organization. And as the page unravels, Ubisoft's representatives dip into the subject of monetization, which is where, a little delusion might creep in. You don't say. The adoption of monetization and engagement policies that respect the player's experience, and are sustainable in the long term. At Ubisoft, the golden rule in developing premium games is to allow the player to enjoy the game in full without having to spend more. Our monetization offers within premium games makes the player experience more fun. By providing a complete game, we provide a fun game. Okay, I'm with you so far. But by selling them more of the game, they get more fun. I beg your pardon? Are you okay? By allowing them to personalize their avatars and progress more quickly. Right, because there was a point in time, right? Like, just cast your minds back to game development, circa, Super Nintendo, N64, all the way up till, like, the PS2 era, okay? Remember when, to get different avatar costumes, to get different personalization options, you would play through the game, you would input cheat codes, you would have the little things called unlocks. Remember when that was fun? Remember when that was rewarding? No, now we can sell them to you because that makes a game more fun. Ubisoft, you're retarded. But that's not where the idiocy ends, because Ubisoft, right? They're blaming gamers, they're blaming their shareholders, they're blaming their monetization strategy. And now they're blaming Disney and Lucasfilm at the state of modern Star Wars for the failure of Star Wars Outlaws. I mean, I'm kind of with you, because Star Wars as a franchise is totally dead, okay? Like, if we're going to dunk on Kathleen Kennedy, I know, I've done it a lot. It's a low-hanging fruit. But you know what's even more low-hanging fruit? The stupidity of Ubisoft. Because if you think that buggy, broken, disastrous mess of a game implies that it works. A game implies that you can actually roll credits on something. On Star Wars Outlaws, like, you're rolling the dice whether or not you're going to be able to get to the end, okay? Because it's a fundamental disaster. But not No. It's because Star Wars is a broken brand and that we had, as they self-reported last year, the biggest marketing campaign for a Ubisoft game, full stop. No. It's because Star Wars is a dead brand that Outlaws failed. Okay. Star Wars Outlaws, an open world action game released August 30th, 2024. And bro, I've watched way too much. Actually, this past weekend, I rewatched for like the third or fourth time that supercut with EFAP and what is it? Metal and Star Wars Theory was also a part of that. And it's like, it's always funny. Like that 4-hour long cut that you can watch on 2x speed and, still get the exact same experience. But just to see how disastrous, how broken that game was upon release, like it's no surprise why that game was a failure. But no. Let's see some cope. Despite high expectations and reported development budget exceeding $200 million, with some estimates suggesting $500 million, including marketing. Yeah, I'd be surprised if it was that high, but it's just hilarious to think. The game underperformed commercially and critically. Ubisoft CEO Guillemot addressed the game's failure during a general shareholder meeting, attributing part of the blame to the state of Disney Star Wars itself, indirectly pointing fingers on behalf of Ubisoft at Disney and Lucasfilm. Outlaws launched, to mixed reviews, averaging around 76 to 77 on Metacritic, which is still like 50 points too high. I'm not even overselling it. Solid but not exceptional. Praise for its world building and Star Wars atmosphere. There's stormtroopers and there's scout troopers and they all suck. World building, because Jabba's there. You can go to Jabba's palace, his iconic palace, and speak to him in his iconic throne room. However, it received criticism for repetitive gameplay, technical bugs, especially on PC. Well, what was it? Fringy and Muller were both playing on PS5, and it crashed multiple times. So there you go. And a protagonist design, that drew backlash for being unappealing or mismatched to the outlaw fantasy. Mam Solo. She was supposed to, what's her name? Humberly Gonzalez. Okay, who is not at all representative of what she ended up getting on screen. I mean, it's like, hey, you can play a game as that thing. It's like, okay, cool. I don't need to go down to a pride parade and make the heroine of my story somebody shaking their strap on a float. I don't really think that makes for an appealing premise. Sales were disappointing from the start. In September of 2024, Ubisoft admitted the game underperformed expectations, as estimates suggested it sold at around 1 million copies in the first month, far below targets for AAA title with such a prominent license. And then from there on, they would just not announce any sales of the game and instead would shift to a wonderful metric that we have known to love in 2025: players. You've seen it with Doom the Dark Ages. You've seen it with Assassin's Creed Shadows. 3 million players. 3.3 million players. But then you have the likes of Expedition 33, former Ubisoft developers, proudly coming out and saying in the first 33 days we sold 3.3 million copies. No. We didn't engage that many players. Our game's over on Game Pass, but 3.3 million people bought the damn game. Star Wars Outlaws will never get that in its entire life cycle. By October of 2024, Ubisoft confirmed in an earnings report noting stagnant sales and implementing a cost reduction program that included layoffs, and project delays. The game's issues contributed to a broader crisis at Ubisoft, with stock prices tanking over 50% in 2024 and investors calling for a management change or even taking the company private. And that's where we are at right now. You have the inmates running the asylum over at Ubisoft, them blaming everybody else except for themselves for their failing product. And what are they learning from this? Not a goddamn thing. So Ubisoft, as long as they have that Tencent money, will continue to be a lolcow in the near future. In the long term, they better start picking up some French to Mandarin books if they want to remain employed heading into the 2030s, if I'm being proactive. So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.